Thank you for joining us. Welcome to LumioseStation.
Yeah, boss of LumioseStation, how's it going, everybody? Got for you guys today another PU battle. And actually, I just want to say right now that apparently Rampardos isn't PU this gen, so that's my bad that I have it on my team. But in this battle, Rampardos really doesn't end up doing much at all, really. And before I get into talking about the team preview, I want to make this more interactive with you guys because a lot of you really liked the previous PU battle that I uploaded. So I will definitely be uploading these more often. And something that I started doing on my own channel is that there will be a link to the partially used tier and the Pokemon in the description below. So I want you guys to look at that list and leave some suggested sets in the comment section below of also if you could leave like the EVs and the item and all that, that would be great. So tell me like the moves, the Pokemon, and all that shenanigan, and I will definitely make them and try to use them in my next upload. But please don't make anything ridiculous like Choice Specs Torterra or something along those lines. Just make fun sets and leave them in the comment section below, as I said. And if you guys would like me to continue doing this, by all means make sure to hit that like button. I think if we can get this video up to 450 likes, I believe that's a good amount. If we get this video up to 450 likes, I would definitely keep these PU battles coming and using your guys' set suggestions. So yeah, look at that team preview. This battle is against my buddy Hakeem. His Twitter link will be down in the description. I think he has a channel. I'm not too sure, but that'll also be down in the description if he does. So make sure to go check him out and hit him up for PU battles. Now, going into this battle, the biggest threat I saw on Hakeem's team was going to be that Glaceon, just because nothing on my team really wants to take an Ice Beam from it, especially if it's Choice Specs. So I'm going to be leading off with my Slacking, thinking that I would be able to annihilate something very first turn of the battle, because I am Adamant Choice banded with Giga Impact. Unfortunately though, it turns out that his Swaloon has Protect, which means he can go for the Sticky Web this turn as I am forced to slack off and then just Protect next turn. Toxic mean eventually he'll be able to just severely wear me down and beat my Slacking one-on-one. So I switch into my Arbok, expecting him to just go for the Sticky Web, as unfortunately my Gunk Shot fails to knock him out, but he does practically no damage with the Bug Buzz even though he did get a crit. I'm just hoping that I'll be able to hit my second Gunk Shot, but I actually ended up going for the Coil, fearing that I would miss. So I knew ultimately just Coil then going for Gunk Shot would have been my better play, because this way I don't have to risk going for Gunk Shot and missing, and plus Bug Buzz is doing practically no damage to my Arbok as I'm able to knock him out with the second one. And to be honest, I actually really like the animation for Gunk Shot. I like how it's just a can of trash is being hurled at the opponent. As he brings in the Gabite, I'm thinking that I'm faster than this thing, but it turns out that he's Choice Scarfed and is able to easily destroy me with an Earthquake. Although I am very positive that my Glaceon should be able to live one Earthquake, I'm going to predict him to want to switch out, fearing that I could go for the Ice Beam. As he brings in the Corsola, I do end up going for the Shadow Ball, and this does not do any damage at all. Now, I am modest Choice Specs, and I thought that would do a decent amount of damage to that Corsola, so I'm thinking maybe he's like a Salt Vest or something along those lines. Either way though, he shouldn't be able to do really anything to my Slowpoke, and you're gonna see that the Great Wall of Slowpoke is a beast. So he's gonna bring in the Marshtomp. The reason why this is so sped up is because it's one of the two just like really stally parts of this battle, because what I'm doing is just basically trying to wear down the Slowpoke as he's trying, not Slowpoke, but I am trying to wear down this Marshtomp as he's trying to wear down my Slowpoke. I'm sorry that I could not say that. Oh, I apologize. I don't normally tend to do these kind of things, like mess up in the middle of a narration. But hopefully you guys don't mind, as I'm able to get rid of the Marshtomp. He is now going to bring in the Glaceon. Obviously, I don't want to stay in and take a possible Shadow Ball, so I switch into my Wigglytuff, but he makes an excellent play, predicts me to switch out into my Wigglytuff, and he's going to go for the Ice Beam. And just look at how much damage that did. Depending on min-max, that's an easy 2 KO. Luckily though, I do have Protect, which means I might be able to live another Ice Beam as long as he doesn't get maximum damage, and he knows this, so he's going to be fearing the fact that I could live and possibly go for like a Toxic or hit him with a Dazzling Gleam. So what I'm going to do is actually go for my Stealth Rocks, just because this will be really helpful to wear down that Glaceon, which as I said is just a massive threat to my team. He ends up switching into his Corsola, which is really great for me because I know that I can take any one move that he wants to go for, so I'm just going to take this opportunity to go for the Wish, because the only real thing on my team that I want to even remotely switch into a Choice Specs Ice Beam is my Wigglytuff, which is why I have to keep this at a good amount of HP. So I believe I do just end up going for the Safe Protect. Unfortunately though, this Wigglytuff is actually miss-saved, and for some reason I have Attract over Dazzling Gleam, which kind of sucks, because as he brought in the Gabite, I would have definitely gone for the Dazzling Gleam, which means I could have got off a good amount of damage on the Gabite. But in the long run of the battle, the fact that I miss-saved that doesn't really end up playing a role, or a game-changing role, to be honest. As I switch into my Slowpoke, I'm just going to go for the Toxic, predicting him to want to switch out to like the Corsola or switch into the Glaceon. But he actually brings in the Bryxon, and the only reason he would bring in Bryxon is to most likely just want to go for the Will-O-Wisp or the Toxic, which he does end up going for the Will-O-Wisp just because he knows that my Slowpoke is a giant problem to his team, because he cannot take it down as long as I have my Wigglytuff to prevent that Glaceon from going for Shadow Ball. So I'm just going to stay in and take the Will-O-Wisp as I get off a decent amount of damage with the Scald. I then switch into my Wigglytuff, expecting him to want to go for like the Psychic or the Shadow Ball maybe for some odd reason, as he does end up going for the Psychic. It does a pretty good amount of damage considering the fact that I am max special defense, max HP, as it turns out that he's offensive with Life Orb, which to be honest I was just not expecting whatsoever, especially because he did have Will-O-Wisp. But hey, to each their own, and this is PU. PU Pokemon are supposed to be fun anyways. So he's going to bring in the Gabite. I'm going to stay in actually, predicting him to overpredict, and I'm going to take the opportunity to go for the Wish. Again, if I had Dazzling Gleam, I would have gone for this turn to get off a good amount of damage on the Gabite. And I also made another dumb miss-save, and my Slowpoke actually has Oblivious as opposed to Regenerator, but much like me not having Dazzling Gleam on Wigglytuff, the fact that I have Oblivious over Regenerator is not game-changing in the slightest. And if you get one thing from this battle, is that you should always check your Pokemon before you go into a battle, because I have a very bad tendency to miss-save something and it really ends up costing me. And this is the second stalliest part of this battle. I'm just staying in, trying to wear down and knock out this Corsola because it is rather annoying. So eventually he's going to switch out into the Glaceon, as I finally just end up going for the Slack Off. And I'm going to stay in this turn after going for the Slack Off, predicting him to predict me to switch back into my Wigglytuff and go for the Ice Beam. So I do predict him correctly as he goes for the Ice Beam. That does way too much damage to my Slowpoke, which was honestly just shocking, because I did not think Ice Beam from Choice Specs Glaceon would be this powerful. I mean, yes, Slowpoke doesn't have like any special defense, but I am Eviolite and I resist that hit. So ultimately, I decided just to go for the Toxic, because in the long run, I'll end up losing this one-on-one battle if I keep going for Sock Off, because I'm burned, plus there is always a chance he can crit me with the Ice Beam. So I knew just Toxic was my best play to do in that situation, because I'm going to be able to wear him down with a combination of Rocks and Toxic. So I bring in my Slacking, hoping that I could live in Ice Beam, but I'm very positive that he is Specs and Slacking is naturally faster than the Glaceon. So I'm just going to stay in and I'm going to go for the Giga Impact, predicting him to want to bring in the Corsola, because I was fearing that an Earthquake wouldn't be enough to knock out Corsola, and it just dies. The Choice Banded Slacking is a monster. Look at Nappy. Yeah, it is named Nappy after Nappy from LumioStation and Nappy the Great, whatever you want to call Nappy. So he's going to bring in the Gabite. I'm just going to leave in my Slacking for Death Otter, just because I don't want to switch out into anything to take a hit from this thing. As I bring in my Glaceon, at this point, if he knocks me out with the Earthquake, he wins this battle, just because my Wigglytuff has no offensive move. Luckily though, I live on 3 HP. I'm going to be able to knock him out with the Ice Beam. I believe at this point his last Pokemon is his own Glaceon, which is Toxic, and because I do have Wish Protect on my Wigglytuff, I will be able to outstall him and win the battle eventually. So he's going to knock me out with the Water Pulse, and I then just end up bringing in my Rampardos just to be able to rack up a little bit more toxic damage. And as you can see, Rampardos did absolutely nothing in this battle, but as I said, I did not know Rampardos was not PU this generation, so that was my fault in the previous upload that I did have. And I can go for one final Protect, and that is going to be the very narrow 1-0 victory in my favor. So as you see there, the miss-saves on Slowpoke and Wigglytuff were not game changing in the slightest. Although they did kind of drag out the battle a little bit longer, it was still just a really fun and good battle. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. As I said, guys, if we can get this up to 450 likes or more, I would definitely be using your set suggestions and bringing you guys more PU Wi-Fi battles. So with that, guys, subscribe to LumioStation. Come check me out and my opponent Hakeem. And with that, I will see you all next week. So later, everybody.